Welcome, welcome Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising, Masculine, Feminine. I'm Key, and this is our doorway. We're past the doorway. We're now in the Akashic Records. Three things came into my mind's eye when it came to thought. Before going into that, if you ever wonder, are you taking on a Taurus energy? Because we're all signs. We're all 12 zodiac signs within us. It's just based on our environment. What do we want to express at any given moment? If you're thinking about things truthfully, and what does that mean to think things through? You are taking on the energy of a Taurus. If there's any Tauruses out there, leave it in the comment box. Your way of knowing when you're showing your Taurian nature or your Taurian energy. So let's go into it. In my mind's eye, when I talk about my mind's eye, I'm talking about the messages that I get from God, Gaia, God, Goddess, Mother, Father, angels, archangels, ancestors that was at one point a person, but now they're on the spiritual plane now, or the spiritual realm. Yet they're still in the atmosphere to give us answers or advice when we're trying to figure out how to go accordingly. That's the way, or what I mean when I say my mind's eye. God can be in many names, depending on where you come from. There's no one way of looking at God or that energy or entity that created us. So for Taurus, the first image that came into my mind's eye was the tricycle. And I remember seeing a tricycle. Well, everyone at some point has probably had a tricycle first in life, right? It's like a training before you get the actual bike. And what caught my eye, I had to Google it to remember how did it look, just to make it more clarified, right? And it has 3 wheels. It either has 2 wheels in the front, 1 in the back, or 1 wheel in the back and 2 in the front. And as soon as I seen the tricycle, I said, well, what does that got to do with a Taurian? And then the next image came into my mind's eye, which is a fig tree. So I'm like, okay, when it comes to trees, I'm unfamiliar with different names of them. So I had to Google that as well. And it came up to, I said, let me type it in, fig tree spiritually. And it says, it is the 3rd tree to be mentioned by name in the Hebrew Bible. Of Adam and Eve used the leaves of fig tree to sew garments for themselves after they ate the fruit of the tree of knowledge. And this is in Genesis chapter 2, verses 16 through 17, when they realized they were naked, Genesis 3:7. I said, okay, so what does that got to do with the tricycle? And then I thought, oh, Adam, Eve, and the snake. Then I thought, okay, what will that tie into? And it ties into truthful, being truthful. And then I said, okay, what about being truthful? And then again, a scripture that I loved even when I was younger, but I didn't understand why I loved that scripture. And it was 1 Corinthians 13:7, where it addresses about love. Love being patient, love being kind. So I asked, well, what does the Taurus need to know about love? And I had to laugh a little bit or be tickled by it, or energies that are taking on Taurian energy, right? When we say we love somebody, what does that mean truthfully? Does that mean telling the truth even if it hurts or causes tears? Does it mean to look at 2 sides of a story, or even 3? And then I said, oh, what if Taurians or people that are taking on Taurian nature is experiencing third-party scenarios? As a Taurus sun and moon, I can only speak on my behalf on third-party scenarios, right? We all, for me, I experienced third-party situations, either being the third party or having a third party try to take me out of a main relationship. So when I heard, or when people come to me and ask about my opinion about side people, whether it be man or woman, or cheating scenarios, how, or as a Taurus, why am I so tranquil about it, or may seem as passive? And my only response is, I had to understand, what does it mean to be, what does it mean for me? I've been a third wheel. I've been also in experiences where I had a person come into a relationship to take me away. I've also been in situations where I've seen a relationship and wanted to take that person away. So to experience all three at different times in my life, could I really judge a person when they're going through it? So when a person asks me why take it so easily, I'm like, well, I didn't have to take it easily. Sometimes I would become ticked off at first when experiencing it. If it was me experiencing my partner with a third scenario, or I had to witness my partner being ticked off by me when I entertained a third party. And I noticed a similarity. Depending on which side you're on determines the way you're going to express yourself. So yes, I think as people, we all experience being a karmic. A karmic can be, was you a third wheel? Was you the side person? Was you the person that had selections towards you? Was you the chaser, or was you the one being chased? These are how I feel what karmics go through as a karmic. I think we all experience twin flame situations where a person comes into your life to show you or reveal to you your talents in life, how you can transform as a person. And also experiencing soulmate scenarios where when we meet a person, we know from that second on, that person knows me by soul and I know them. So all three experiences, whether it be karmic, twin flame, or soulmate, or being a third wheel or entertaining a third wheel scenario, can we really judge a person when we had experienced that for ourselves? That's this thought to put out there. And even as a Taurus, or taking on a Taurus energy, right? Have you noticed when you think of something, or when you tell yourself something, or when you talk to someone about something that really truthfully comes from the heart, you would have to experience it in your environment to see if what you talked about is true. So, are you the one that's being tested, or are you a part of a test? Either way, it's there to show you how to triumph over it. So let's begin. I didn't want to take too much of your time, guys. Now my mind eye is more at ease because my third eye was really hurting. So I felt maybe that's what I needed to talk about first before going into the reading. Okay, so let's see what the cards say, or what the books, I should say, because all these cards are books. So let's see. Woo, okay. They coming out. Okay. What is the heart's desire? Or the heart, what energy is Taurus heart? What energy is Taurus heart? Energy. Okay. What present gift for Taurus? Taurus, present gift. And it's just not my ancestors, it's your ancestors. Whoever is coming in, your ancestors are here to show me the way as well. I'm just a vessel to vocalize what is being felt energetically. Okay. I have new cards, so we're going to test them out today. And Taurus, I would think this will be the first sign to get these new cards, to see what does our sacred self energetically want to express. Okay. Sacred. Woo! Okay. Oh, I see with the sacred, y'all coming out quick. Okay. And then we'll get to the angel cards in a second, okay? That's the energy. Matter of fact, let's put them out there. What energy does... Okay. Energy of Taurus, or those that are taking on Taurus energy. All right, so we got them out. Okay. So, the heart. Wow. Spiritually, for mid-June, we're seeing intuition to protect. Intuition. Mentally, what attitudes from the past, physically resulting from the history. So we're seeing a connection to, and that would explain it, the energy that I was feeling from all the Taurus or people that's taking on Taurus energy. Your intuition is something to protect. Why? Because when we use our intuition, a lot of times we may think that's insane to do, when it's really not. When we actually protect our intuition and really see a connection or a pattern to what, first of all, what is the connection? What are you connecting? Love? Are you connecting your attitudes towards the past? You'll see that even from the past, we all have patterns that get us from point A to point B, C, and above. Once you see the pattern, Taurus, you'll see how to not conceal it, but first cure it by being consciously aware of it. When you see the history of where you had to use your intuition comes from, like what in your life where you had to use your intuition a lot, what aspect of your life, you'll see why it's worth protecting. Because some will say, oh, your intuition, it's not correct, or it's just your thinking, it's your insecurities, when it's not. Because in order for that person to say those things, that meant that they had to do something that can cause an insecurity, or they had to say that to not initiate what is really inside of them. So, wow. So we're in the 7th house. We're being very logical about this. We're tapping into Libra. And we're taking action of spiritually how to be diplomatic. Looking at not just one side of the story or the other side of the story, but even the third side of a story too. What's in between. Mentally, you're looking at relationships. Wow, that makes sense. Of what I was feeling with you guys energetically to speak on. So you're seeing how to get a fair deal out of any partnership, out of any relationship that comes your way. Your presence, finances. So if you had to use your intuition when it comes to finances, you're trying to see what can make finances a lot fruitful, yes, but have a solid foundation. If finances is your present, which it is, because Taurus is all about the totality, or Taurus is about the material world. Oh my God, Madonna, material girl, or for those fellas out there, material men. A lot of times people may think that material, if you're thinking about the material, that nothing else matters to you. Now you're trying to see how to show that in a different light. Like, everyone needs finances, not to be flashy, but to say, as you as an individual, your finances is like an individual in itself. So how you handle finances will be shown by how people do look at you as a person. Do you feel stable in a finance? Do you feel unstable? If you feel unstable, what are the ways in which you want to find a pattern to become stable? So when you ever have a relationship with anyone, including yourself, you're fine with it. You're fair with it. So when it comes to transportation, you are transforming. Like, again, you're transitioning from who you used to be to who you are now. And that meant, like any person, we all graduate. Again, that tricycle, we all experiencing first riding a tricycle or doing something that requires assistance until we feel together within ourselves to say, well, now I want to take it up a notch and get a bicycle, or I want to take it up a notch and show my transformation. In order for that to happen, then that means your environment had to give you that opportunity to express that, to show even yourself that you have transformed. Scribe and writing. You have once been a writer, a person that can translate like we're doing right now. So you no longer had to write things out. Now you will be able to express it without having to figure it out or write it out first. That would explain why the intuition. A lot of times when we have our intuition, we feel that we have to talk out our intuition. That can be so, but a lot of times, expressing it without even saying it tells a lot. It's like, how do you know when a person feels firm in who they are? It's by how they face things. It's like, rather than tell it, you're tackling it. You're taking the time to do something about it. When it comes to love life, if you notice, these are reversed. So maybe no longer are we talking about love. We're becoming love. Again, that transformation. Love is kind. Love is patient. How do we know that as a human being? We've heard this saying, having unconditional love. What does that mean to you? I know for me, unconditional love meant, and I asked this as a thought, how can I show unconditional love? That meant that my life had to give me people, places, and things where I had to show unconditional love. And it may not come the way we like it, love, but how we look at it and how we live it out shows that we actually have love within. This is why it's reversed. You're going within to show that you are love. Again, if you are a Taurus, your planet is Venus. If you are watching this reading right now, then that means you're embodying the Taurus energy. Taurus is the planet of love. But not only love, the vision, the voyager, or the voyeur, the one that's looking at love, or the one that is living love. You have a vision. How do you become unconditional love in a person, as a person? That means that you have to show it rather than always speak it. So, wow, when it comes to the Magician, rather than make things happen, you're just allowing things. You're moving in that direction. It's like when we see the Magician, we have to be always active, right? We take action in what we want to do. In reverse, it has felt like we are love. So how can we just move in that way without using anything to show that we love? Like, oh, how do I show I love myself? By pampering myself? Yes, that's cool, but that can feel at this moment temporary. What do you want to have that is a little bit more meaningful for you? So look at that, and it's right under transportation, the Death card. So we're transforming what we think about love. Love is beautiful. It can have another person there with you to share with. But before this person comes into our lives to share that love with us, what must we have die so it can be grown anew? What is those intuitions, or what are those past patterns that we have that we can put to rest, not because it's painful, but because we understood that in order to love, we had to experience all things, including pain. When we see death, it is very painful, not because of the physical result of death, but we see the lives that were affected by death. We see that we weren't alone when we had to transform. When you transform as a person, that meant other people had to see you transform. And that could have been very daunting at times, dreadful, but in the same sense, daring and dedicated. Wow. And we were talking about the fig tree, right? In this lady's hand is a fig tree. So, again, that concept of knowledge. Once we taste the fruit of what is forbidden in our world, is it forbidden anymore? No. It was only forbidden because we have not faced it before. Once we face it, now we can see the flip side of it and say, well, in order for me to not be in fear of love, or in fear of expressing love, maybe a fear of expressing love was very challenging. How can we express our love to another, or to another, because this is how another person is seeing you, Taurus. How can they express their love to you? They would have to have met you, faced you, to see where, if I love this Taurus, or the person that's taking on a Taurus energy, then that meant that I had to test myself on what is love and express it. If it's in reverse, that meant that it was hard for this person to express their emotions. That doesn't mean that they don't love. That means maybe when it comes to this level of love, it's hard to even write it. So maybe before, they used to write how they felt about love. Maybe they used to text how they felt about love. Maybe just saying it was satisfying enough. But with you, Taurus, or a person that's taken on a Taurus nature or energy, they see that it's beyond that. It's unconditional love. And when you have unconditional love, what do you do with that? Is it just spoken? Or do you have to set yourself on that journey to become it? So, this can be a Capricorn or a person that's taking on a Capricorn nature, which is the opposite sign of Cancer, which is Capricorn. A person that's taking on Capricorn is a person that, yes, knows how to connect the dots, but it's about company, about a connection. And maybe they're trying to figure out why they were birthed under this sign or take on this energy. But they had to meet someone like you to face themselves. They might have given a fruit, something that's face value, something that can grow into something fruitful. Yet, this may be the way they want to face themselves. Or when it comes to who they are, maybe they're used to only giving like the surface of something. And that would explain why it was in reverse. They want to give something more than just a fruit. They don't want to give this something that anybody can say. Let's see why that is. Why is the 10 of Chalice in reverse? Why is the 10 of Chalice in reverse? Why is the Magician in reverse? The Magician. Okay. So, Taurus, how you feel sacredly, your sacred self, is the Lovers. You see, Cupid is here to show that love, right? But it was in reverse. Why that is because it's one person, whether you are a man or a woman. If you are a man, you have two options. If you are a woman, you have two options. It could be the same sex or different sex. It does not matter. Love has no prejudice. But nonetheless, it's two people here for one person. Stop making this happen. Again, no longer do you feel like you want to be a part of a third situation. Yet, you understand what free will is. So, something is going to change, but it's going to take that person to be aware of why do they want to change a two people into choosing one. But in order to do that, they had to look within themselves to understand, why must I have just one person? If this is you, Taurus, you may be experiencing being a part of a third-party situation, being the outsider going into a relationship. That would explain that tricycle image. We've all have experienced third-party situations, whether it be in our own friends. Do we just have one friend? No, we have more than one friend. Have you noticed when you have two other friends with you, those two other friends want to compete to see how much attention they're going to give to that person than the other, or from that person to another? It's like a fight for attention, where it should feel free-flowing. But in order for us to have that free-flowing situation, we would have to be put in a scenario like this to understand why competing sometimes doesn't have to be there. But in order to do that, we had to be truthful about, again, that experience. And how does it have a conclusion when we are a third party in scenarios? Yes, it feels carefree at the beginning, but it can feel like a charade or chaos. But in order for me to even say those terms, that meant as a person I had to experience these things before I even made it as a word, which you're seeing in yourself. Why emotions are hard for this person to express is because they want to charge forward with you. Yes, they have this whip. They can control this scenario. They can control even how the relationship could go in their favor. But again, that control means that, is love really control? Or is love a circle, a union? So, even though this person can control or make a controlling relationship with you, they rather caress you instead. They rather find their way of being tender to you. Yes, they have the option to control it, but they're choosing not to. So again, that 7, they're tapping into their logical nature, which is, would I want this female or this man to be the controlling one if it was the other way around? If this man was laying down, this woman had the whip, would he want her to use the whip or use her hands? You notice how the hands are delicate. The whip is firm. Having that balance. Once he or she understands this concept, that is nothing wrong with what happened. It is how you change the game and see all shapes of this scenario playing out. That is only when the chariot can move forward. That yin and yang of self has to be there. So, what is the energy? Taurus, you're taking on the energy of the 10 of water. Wow, you notice that 10 here was in reverse for the person. For you, you have the 10 of water. So you have transitioned or transformed into a person that is truthful, yes, but understand that true love comes from just love itself. But you had to live out all 10 ways in which love is shown, both the positive and not so positive. So when you are faced with someone, you know what you want. And deep down, your true energy is you want that emotional fulfillment with a person. You want that child like within us. We all are children. We are all children of God. Whether you believe in God or not, you have to believe in something, and that connects you to the divine or to the creator. You have the childlike part of yourself, and then you have that hidden child aspect that may have caused or been through trauma, and you healed both your childlike charisma and the child part of yourself that has been traumatized emotionally. And this person that comes into your world will reflect that same transformation as well. That's when we'll see that a contented, rewarded family life, your emotional and material needs, that will explain the finances, will be met. Trustworthy relationships, trust and worthy. Is it worth the wait? Yes. A lot of times we think waiting means that you're weak. No. Waiting shows also that you see yourself as worthy, and whatever comes into your waking life is worthy to have. It's like waking up. You woke up this morning. Some people didn't wake up this morning. So you see the worthiness of that. It's the same thing when it comes to waiting. It doesn't mean that you have to wait on this person. But if you did choose to wait for someone, does that mean that you have to stop your life? No. A lot of times we still have to live our lives to know what is it that we really want when we do connect to a person that matches us emotionally. How does that person feel emotionally, energetically? They feel like the Four of Fire. Wow, the fourth house is Cancer. So, energetically, they feel fire, passion to move forward in any foundation. But in order to feel firmly in it, they're creating their own foundation before they face you again. They want to have that contentment. They want to have that peace first, that abundance. Once they have these three energies, then that fourth, which is that happiness of a home life, will not only just be a figure of our imagination or a figure of his or her imagination, it would actually be right in front of them. See that three? They have to experience three to understand what is really for them. So the successful completion of a project, whether it be a project that they physically have to do or a partnership, they had to experience all four sides. First three, then that fourth one, to understand what is that change going to be. Because we have four here, but the fifth one is their soul. Their soul, that sacred chakra, is going to help them to have the courage to charge forward. If this reading resonates with you, press the like button, share and subscribe. Leave in the comment box below what you thought about this reading. I definitely like to hear energetically what's going on. I may not see you face to face, but I feel you energetically. And I want to thank you for entering the doorway to the Akashic Records library with me. Because not only are you allowing me to read your reality, I get to reveal to you how your reality relates to my world and my reality as well. Thank you. We will see you on the other side. Oh, and I leave a token of a treasure in the description box below. Please look. There's a text for you. We will see you on the other side.